Watch KSTV weeknights at 7:30 and 11 Eastern, and anytime with Insight on Demand on Channel 103.
And tonight, we're very excited to be joined by maybe our most physically imposing guest we've ever had here, former UK star Dennis Johnson. Dennis, thanks for taking some time to hang out with us.
Glad to be here. Excited to come on the show.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about football, of course. I want to start with, you are, I think, maybe the most impressive prep athlete of all time. You know, there was an article when you committed to Kentucky in Sports Illustrated said that Tubby Smith had asked you to play basketball. You were a major league prospect. You, of course, were high school National Defensive Player of the Year. But the thing that sticks out to me is you played varsity football in the second grade. How is that possible?
It was a little crazy. My father was actually the coach at we were a small high school in Harrisburg, Kentucky, and coming up as a kindergarten, I was like 5'5", 125 pounds. So we used to practice with the high school. I mean, do everything, go through two-a-days. And so once we would get up in the varsity games, me and my brother would dress, and we would be up 30, 40 points, and he'll put me and my brother in the game. So we actually got some official varsity playing time in second grade. And a lot of people thought we were in high school because, you know, the small school.
Right.
We were bigger than some of the other linemen we had who actually started. But yeah, we actually got to get in the game when we were young kids.
They keep the cheerleaders away from you, though? Like,
yeah.
they're too young, keep
off
away.
limits. They were off limits. They were definitely off limits.
You had, of course, you know, everybody coming after you, coming out of high school. You chose to stay at Kentucky. You chose over Notre Dame, Miami, Florida. And UK at the time was kind of in a similar spot where they are now. They were 5-7, I believe, at the time. What was it that really made you want to go and play for Kentucky?
Well, at the time, you know, I had two guys from my high school, Craig Geese and my brother, Derek, who were at the University of Kentucky. And Hal Mumme was really starting to resurrect the program. You know, the Air Raid was coming into effect. And I just thought the program was on the rise and had a great quarterback in Tim Couch, who was getting a lot of publicity. And, you know, being a local kid, I was under the impression, you know, all the guys from Florida and those big schools, you know, they stay at home. So I just want to stay at home and try to help bring some success to the program. And, you know, for the next 2 years, we actually went to back-to-back bowl games, went to a New Year's Day bowl. So, you know, I thought it was a good thing to stay in state and kind of help the program out. And
did you have any of the temptation of the basketball thing? I know that, is that just a rumor or was that a serious consideration?
No, I actually came back and practiced for about a week and a half. And one day I was in Memorial shooting, and Hal Mumme and Tubby and my father was sitting in there. I went to get dressed and shot around, and they came out, and we had a little heart-to-heart, and I'd had two hand surgeries my last 2 years in high school, and Coach Mumme really wanted me to focus on lifting weights and trying to be a leader on the football program, trying to resurrect that. So we all combined our heads, and they kind of thought it was best that I not play basketball and kind of really get focused on football, which wasn't a bad decision, but I do have regret. I wish I could at least play 1 year, because I had played ball with them all summer, did all the camps with them and everything, and wanted to get out there and play. But, you know, they made a decision that was probably wasn't the best, and we moved on from there.
Who of those three guys sitting there, I'm sure that's intimidating. Your dad, Hal Mumme, Tubby Smith. Who was the most intimidating discipline-wise? Who's the toughest on you?
Oh, definitely my father. Yeah, by far. He was always, you know, I had to live with him. And so, you know, and at the end of the day, he said, you know, you signed a football scholarship. And, you know, they all taught before, prior to me getting to the conversation. And they wanted me to really get stronger, to really focus on football. They thought that was my best chance of having a pro career. And it eventually worked out the best. But like I said, the only regret I have in sports is not getting to play, you know, University of Kentucky basketball at least that 1 year.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people looking back and wish they could have played Kentucky basketball too, but it turned out pretty well for you. During that time at Kentucky, like you said, you had some good times, and then at the end of your career is when the kind of NCAA stuff started to happen, and it got tough again for UK. What was that as a player? You know, we had Hal Mumme on here last week and talked about, you know, what it was like as a coach going through that. As a player, what was it like going through that time? You know,
you can't, you know, the bowl game and stuff is kind of tough, but as a player, you got to just push through. You know, you were in the program that long, and sanctions came, you have to deal with them. But as a player, you know, being a Kentucky kid, I'm like, man, I want to stick with it, and just, you got to go out there and you still got to play on Saturday. You still play the same competition. You just know, you have some bowl sanctions and stuff, so you got to endure through some stuff. But as a player, I think, you know, it affects you on the fact that, like you said, the bowl games, but you got to go out there and just play. And that's what I did. I focused on my job and perfecting my craft, and that's what I want to do, go out there and play and try to be as successful as the university could.
And you mentioned a little while ago about staying in state playing for Kentucky. There have been a lot of players the last couple of years who have been very good high school players, but have not followed the path that you took. They've gone to USC or gone to Notre Dame, headed out of state. How important is it for Kentucky to keep those guys? And if you're Joker Phillips, say at UK, As someone who's bought into that pitch, what's the pitch you give to those kids?
Well, I look at it two sides. You know, I mean, the question I get from a lot of people now is, man, do you wish you would have went somewhere else and you could probably would have got drafted earlier with the stat you had your junior year coming out? But most kids, no matter how hard you recruit them, they know 2 or 3 schools that they're going to probably go to. And, you know, you want to try to keep those guys and you do everything you can, but at the end of the day, they're still kids. They free will, they can do what they want to do, and you're going to get the kids you're going to get. You know, I'm sure the kid that went to USC, they recruited him as hard as they could, and I just think his mind was made up. He was trying to get out of Kentucky and go somewhere to play football, and those kids you just can't get. You know, they took a lot of grief at doing this, but you know, they did everything they could to keep him. The year I came out, you know, we had Bernard Jackson and my other partner, Julius Yeast, and they both went separate ways. And, you know, at the end of the day, some kids don't want to stay in state. I was one that, you know, really wanted to stay in state, and someone want to go. So I think you're going to get the kids you're going to get. You recruit them as hard as you can, and at the end of the day, you got to let the chips fall where they may.
Do you think that the football team can, you know, it's tough to get a lot of talent out of Kentucky. You know, there's not a lot. It's
right.
you know, Dennis Johnson's of the world are rare. Do you think they can sustain that success in the SEC and being competitive for a long time, finding guys from other states, or is it more of Kentucky will always be a basketball school? A lot of fans say we really want to be competitive in football all the time, but it's tough. We have facility things against us. Can Kentucky be that program where they can compete every year?
No, do I think we'll be an elite program year after year? No, I think we can be very competitive. You know, we're a smaller state and we don't produce as many, you know, 4- and 5-star recruits to really keep them in. So we got to go outside and look. And the thing now that makes everything equal is, you know, everybody has Nike and Under Armour contracts, and guys can go to FIU and Florida Atlantic and all these East schools now where they don't have to come to, you know, the big Nike schools and all that type of stuff. So I think it's kind of hard to get all those kids to come to Kentucky, and being on the lower end of the SEC, you know, you got Georgia and Texas and all these big football stakes. So we got to go out and get the kids we can. You know, we got to coach them up well. But, you know, you got to have time to go out there and play. And I think we can be a competitive program. Do I think we'll be elite year after year like the Floridas and the Alabamas? No, I don't. But I think we can always compete and have a year or two. Every now and then we get a good crop of kids that stay healthy and play. So I think that's very key.
Do you think Joker talks about before the season, he wants to leave camp with a mentality of the team that it's all us against the world, we're together, and find a toughness? Is toughness a thing that we had talked with Dickie Lyons about this? Players you recruit guys that are tough, or can you make guys tough? Is that just something you're born with?
I think you can help to build that tough attitude. I think, you know, if you believe in each other, I think if guys come together and really mesh well, you can build like a team unity that is tough. You know, when the chips are down, you know, we're going to rally around each other. And then you have some groups who just, you know, more of an individual guys who just want to go out there and get their stats, and that's where you find teams that you can a 30 to 20 loss and go to a 50 to 20 loss in a minute. So I think you can build toughness. Now you do have those kids like when I play the Jeff Snedegers who are just full hardcore, coming in hardcore, and I was one of those guys. Off the field, I was a pretty nice guy, but you got to be able to turn that switch on when you get on the practice field and on the game field.
What's your highlight? You look back on your Kentucky career, what's the one thing that stands out that was really important to you?
I think we went to LSU my freshman year and went down there, and I think they were number 1 in the country, and we beat those number 1, number 2 in the country, and we beat those guys. I think it was one of the first games I started. It was a 9 o'clock game down in Baton Rouge. It was crazy, and I'm like, man, I got to see the Tiger and the fans and the Lav Stadium. And that was the one vivid memory. I'm like, man, I'm a true freshman out here starting in the SEC, and we got a chance to get a victory and getting to play against, you know, Kevin Falk and those guys. It was a phenomenal experience, something that I'll never forget.
And that's actually how Mummy said the same thing. He talked about that game and how important it was. Before we let you go, what are you up to these days? Are you working with kids and teaching, right?
I'm teaching in Lexington at Jesse Clark Middle School. I'm a PE teacher, and I also coach football, basketball, and help with track. So I'm pretty busy. Got 2 young boys who are 10 and 6 who are running me crazy, playing all these sports. So it's good times, having fun. Happy I can give back to the local youth of Lexington and just enjoying life.
And you said there was an article I was reading this morning before you went in the draft that you've always had football in your blood. You always have football in your blood. You're going to stick with the game? You'll be coaching for a long time?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm doing junior high. Eventually want to get a high school job and then move my way up to college. I kind of want to follow in the footsteps of my father, kind of help wean my 2 little boys, you know, in the right direction. But I eventually want to work my way up in high school and then move on to college, and I think I'll do that in the near future.
Well, if your son's 10, it's about time for him to start playing varsity football. All right. Right? Dennis, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.